Hey, I shoot all kind of photographs. Yeah, and I guess we take photographs to get pictures. Pictures we like and that we can share and show to others. But I don't think that's all. I think there's so much more to photography than the actual results, the outcome. And that's something that I wanted to share with you and be curious to hear what you think about this. So I have a certain perspective to photography. You know, I'm not a young guy anymore, but I started photography fairly late in my life. I discovered it about 5 or 6 years ago. Prior to that, I owned a cheap digital camera and then cell phone, and I would take a picture of a sunset if I ever saw one, but that's about it. And then about 6 years ago, I discovered photography. Not the topic of today's video, but I really got into it, and it sort of started to affect more and more how I see the world and what I think about different things. So much more than just the outcome. And let me give you a few examples. So if I go somewhere, almost anywhere, I always see that as an opportunity to take some photos. If I walk my dog, if I go out to walk my dog, it's of course 20 minutes, 30 minutes time with my dog and maybe a little bit of exercise. But always before I go, I look outside and think about taking my camera with me, depending on the weather. A camera, select a film and maybe get a picture or two. Maybe not, you never know. If I travel on a vacation, overseas somewhere, I Google the place beforehand and see if there are any interesting photo opportunities. I select my camera, my film, and I sort of anticipate, I plan ahead what kind of pictures could I take there. If I go somewhere for business, a new city, new town, I might leave a bit earlier to reserve some time for photography. So all of these things, they sort of have this planning and anticipation, and then they have a new perspective to those happenings, those trips. That is photography. And then I might even take some pictures, but that's almost secondary. Of course, sometimes the taking photographs is the main purpose of the trip. We would make trips with my friends to take photographs, like photo sessions, 1 or 2 days somewhere, just to shoot some photographs. But even then, the friendship and just getting there, spending time together, that's often even more important than taking any particular pictures. So there is this new element in almost anything that I do that is now integrated with everything I do. That's photography. Thinking about it, planning for it, and sometimes even doing it. But that's not all. There's also multiple other aspects. So I enjoy the me time. This may be a bit selfish. Of course, the photography, taking pictures, that time. But even, some weird moments, say I'm developing film. Now, I'm not even talking about my darkroom sessions, which are special me time, but I'm just developing film. And it is 30 minutes of uninterrupted time for myself, where I don't need to be especially creative, I don't need to think about a lot of things, I just need to execute the process flawlessly No phone calls, no messages. It's almost zen, because it is so plain and simple and naked. You know, that's just for me. I anticipate next time I can go downstairs to develop some film. I mean, call me crazy, but that's me. I started to cherish these old devices. You know, I shoot only on film, so I shoot with these old cameras. And, you know, it's fascinating to learn about these, you know, how they've been built and what kind of materials and why did the designer do these kind of design decisions. And you know, why does my Graflex say kachoom when I take a picture? And why does my Rolleiflex, in the same situation, it says click when I take the picture? Why is that? What does it mean? What kind of different possibilities it may give to me? And you know, all those kind of things. I haven't started to collect cameras. I'm not a camera collector. I got many cameras, but I use them all. So I consider myself a photographer with my cameras, not a collector. If I started to collect, that would be an additional extra thing that I would do beside of the photographs. I would collect cameras, but I don't do that. Then, in addition to cameras and their mechanics, you know, I'm learning about physics. You know, how the light reflects and how does it go through the lens. I'm learning about chemistry, you know, different chemicals, how they affect. Why does it make sense to have a stop path? Why would it do good for the fixer to have the stop, not water before it? And how does silver effect, like what's the meaning of silver in film and all those kind of things. Very interesting. Quantum mechanics. I'm learning quantum mechanics. I mean, with pinhole camera. I mean, pinhole camera is a camera without a lens. There's just a tiny little hole. And where quantum mechanics comes into the play, that scientists discovered actually fairly recently that light, and not only light, but all the things in the universe, they have both the wave form and then the particle existence. I don't know if that's the right term. You know, they can be seen as particles and then waveforms. And light too. Light is not only particles, but it's also waveform. And that's why pinhole pictures are always inherently unfocused. If it was only particles, you could make the hole really small and make sure you get crystal clear focus. But now, since it's also a waveform, the wave needs to go through the hole, and the hole can't be bigger than the wavelength. Sorry, smaller than the wavelength. So yeah, so interesting things. I'm not sure if I managed to explain quantum mechanics to you well enough, but you know, that's my point. Is not that, but my point is that there are so many interesting things around photography. But hey, but above all, photography has taught me to look at things differently, pay attention to the world around me. It has carved out a space around me that didn't exist before. I might look at light, just look at the light now for the longest time, because it's just, I'm interested in it. I may look at and observe most peculiar things, you know, rainwater pipes, because of what they look like. I look at people on the street from the totally different point of view, how they form compositions, or what's the action that I might photograph. And all that is hugely interesting. And sometimes I get that on film, more often not. But it doesn't matter, because now I look at the world differently. And I think that's the biggest contribution that photography has given to me. It's not the nice pictures, even though I like them too. It's not the maybe positioning myself in a competition or bragging about my images somewhere. None of that. But it's really how it has widened my perspective of seeing the world around me and seeing things that I didn't see before. And I find that really interesting. And I sort of recently thought that I need to myself recognize this and not always look at photography through the end results, but also through how it affects me and helps me to enjoy life, if nothing else. Hey, it was like this time. Thanks for watching. Next time, something else.